Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the 2020 online Harriet Tubman Freedom Music Festival and National Harriet Tubman Freedom Awards. I am the associate producer of the festival, Devin McLeod, and I am so thrilled and honored to be in front of you virtually today. And I love to bring on my partner in crime. Please tell the people who you are. Who is this beautiful woman?
Hello everyone, my name is Kirsten Zakoski and I am the assistant producer of the festival.
We are so incredibly excited that we were able to translate this magical and important event to this online format for all of you today. It is what we believe, what Harriet would have done if she was alive in this day and age. She would have said, this is gonna happen no matter what. And so here we are. And we're very, very, very happy to have you here with us. Now, we would like to bring on someone whose face you might have seen before. Our visionary, our executive producer, Sean McLeod.
Brothers Johnson! I would not. Yes, Eli Smith, I did it again. I would not, I would be remiss if I hadn't done that.
Of course.
But I actually like what these incredible women just got done saying, certainly in reference to Harriet Tubman and her ability to say, when you are in doubt, keep a going. Mm-hmm. When it is hard, keep a going. When your life is in danger, keep a going. And when others' lives are in danger, keep a going. So we had no choice but to keep a going when it came to the concept of how we were going to honor the legacy of this great heroine and the legacy of those that have followed in her footsteps, those who are now National Harriet Tubman Freedom Award winners. We could be no more happy to be standing up here in front of you. And I want you to know, I just want to practice a little pose. Y'all gonna help out? Woo! Okay, every now and then I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna do that. You think there's something wrong with me doing it? There really is. So, what I'd like to say, if I can, is that we are going to try to be just as precise in our ability to celebrate the legacy of Harriet Tubman as we possibly can. And that means that we have to make certain that the focus of the conversation, the focus of what is missing from the human landscape right now in this time, in a big way, is international concern for others. And I think that what all of this beautiful marching has been doing, all of these beautiful sit-ins, all of these beautiful, people want to call them protests, I call them now tests. It is a now test of what it is that we as people are trying to say is important in our life and time. So let us be clear that if Harriet was here, she would say of this moment to all of you that are doing the marching, to all of you that are feeling that it is your responsibility to help other people, to all of you that are saying to those in power, you need to use that power to unify all of us. She would say, keep it going. So that is what we're doing here today. That is what this entire celebration is about. And we are going to constantly practice like we hear you, right? So we're going to laugh when we think it's funny. That was great. All right. And we're going to try to be just as honest as we possibly can. I hope you guys all enjoy this incredible sharing. This can't happen without you, but it certainly happens because of you. And for all the national award recipients and all those that have come before, we thank you for being who you are and the contribution you make to mankind. Thank you all. We'll see you in a second. All right, let's go. rise. If your love be found, I'm not gonna knock you down. Come on and make up your mind. Hey, 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 hey. What your mama say, yeah. What your daddy say, yeah. Come on and make a stand. Live is alive today. What's everybody coming to? What's everything coming to? I see you standing here. I see you here standing here. Come on, they say it's right. You'll do all you must survive. God come and follow. Believe to the promise. Yeah. What's your mama say? Yeah. What's your daddy say? Yeah. Come on and make it say. Live is the life we day. We're back. We're back. Well, okay. That was Mr. S.D. Bullock. Incredible. And okay. An incredible international musician, composer, and performer who you will see later on in the concert, the celebration of what it means to be free. But he leads me in to be able to say this name, Debra Martin Chase. Debra Martin Chase is one of the angels. Sometimes we call them producers in the world of film. and she helped labor this love that came to be this gift called the Harriet, or Harriet the film. Debra, I believe, actually is this really great example of what a person can do when they do not accept what someone has told them they cannot do. Not only is she a Black person, but she's a woman. And sometimes in our society, we like to tell both of those characteristics, both of those folks, what they cannot do. She is such a living example of watch me. But she does it in a sense in which her ability to want to help others as she ascends and takes other with her, it's not an attack against people. It's an invitation that they can come to. It's really kind of special in this time in which we're having all of this reckoning about all the things that are wrong in life and society. And I think that she embodies what is right in society. So the next time that someone tells you that you can't do something because you're too Black, or you're too white, or you're too short, you're too tall, you're too thin, I want you to look up and I want you to think about this film, Harriet, and I want you to think of all the other things that Debra Martin Chase has achieved. I want you to look her up. If you haven't, you should. Because she is a living example of what we all should be aspiring to be. That is why she is a 2020 National Harriet Tubman Award winner. Debra Martin Chase.
What an incredible time we are living in. Our world and our country will never be the same, but we all have to carry on. And that's why I'm so happy that the 2020 Harriet Tubman Music Festival is still being held online. My sincere thanks to Devin and Sean McLeod for honoring me with the 2020 Harriet Tubman Freedom Award, because it not only honors me, but it honors our movie Harriet. And in these complex and difficult times, it's really important to remember one of the main lessons taught to us by this icon, that we each have a voice, that we each can make a difference in our family, in our country, in our community, in the world. Thank you so much, and please stay safe.
Debra Martin Chase, the producer of the Harriet film. Debra, I am so honored that I have gotten to know you through our time at the New York City Ballet together and through this fantastic nominating process that we have gone through for the 2020 Harriet Tubman Freedom Awards. Unbeknownst to me, you've been sort of kind of a artistic and film angel from my favorite films when I was very, very little, like the Brandy and Whitney Houston Cinderella. One of the first times I got to see anyone who looked like me be a princess on the big screen. Or another favorite of mine, Princess Diaries, just gotta shout that out. We are so honored to have you on this dais. It is unbelievably deserved, and I love you so.
on, Harriet, the world awaits. Come on, Harriet, not to steal your fate. Come on, Harriet, we're about to take this. Come on, Harriet, you got to unleash the
Hi, Syracuse Mayor Ben Walsh here with a special message for the 2020 Harriet Tubman Freedom Awards and Music Festival. As people continue to take to the streets across this region, across this country, and across this globe to fight against centuries of systemic racism and inequality, I couldn't think of a better time to reflect on all that Harriet Tubman fought for and stood for, and all that she still represents today. I want to congratulate the Freedom Award winners for all that you do to serve our community and to represent the spirit of Harriet Tubman. I want to thank the performers and the artists that are sharing your gifts through this festival with all of us. I want to recognize the New York Institute of Dance and Education and the Kaleidoscope Dance Theatre for hosting this virtual festival. We wish we could be all together, but this is great. In particular, I want to thank Sean McLeod and Kirsten and your entire team for keeping this tradition going despite all of these challenges. I want to thank all of you for coming together to take care of each other and to continue this important fight that Harriet Tubman fought so many years ago. Thank you all. Take care.
You just saw her. She jumped on stage and learned on the fly, and it was incredible. And now she's going to do something she actually knows and probably do it better than anybody else. So here we go, Miss Jalen Brown from Richmond, Virginia.
Check, check. Hey, y'all. So this song is an original. It's from my EP, Vulnerable, which you can find on Spotify and iTunes. I just need all your love. Don't worry about the ways we'll become. I'll be by your side and call my name. When you can't see the light through the rain, when you can't seem to feel the warmth of the sun through the pain, I'll be there for you. Come run away with me. We'll find out what we need. This world was made for you and me. This world was made for you and me. Come right away with me. We'll find out what we need. This world was made for you and me.
What an awesome, awesome day. And what a phenomenal opportunity to be here with you all. Come on, clap your hands one more time. Make some noise, make some noise. Woo! Now, one thing we do at Victory is we have a tendency to not to forget. What do you mean? That we don't forget where we came from. So we sing spirituals, we sing classics, we do all of that. But the other thing we don't forget, you know, from an era when music was, I call it real music. So it's about 10 of you that should recognize this beat, recognize this. Okay. Anybody recognize this sound? Wait, Brother Sean, bring the bass up because they trying to act like they forgot. Listen to the bass, hey! Okay, anybody get the flashback? You know, if you're not 30 or above, you may not know this, but some of y'all know it, right? So we did a little gospel remix. Show you how we do it. gospel music, that's gospel. The gospel literally means good news and glad tidings.
Kathy Hochul, Lieutenant Governor of New York State. Did you hear what I said? The reason I say that is because that's how wonderful that a woman would be in such a position. It is my belief that if we're really going to find peace, honesty, and truth in this world, and men, you'll have to forgive me, I think it will come at the hand, the voice, and the work of women. I believe if we simply look at the examples set, that button of destruction, when we give men that button, we press it to destroy other men. But when we give it to women, they attempt to dismantle it so that men may have an opportunity to learn from our mistakes. Kathy is a wonderful example of how a woman's thought of others can impact positively what only can happen within the political world, where somehow a desire and a mechanism for making action happen come together. Sometimes people say that the word politician is a dirty word. I've learned that the things that make things dirty or clean is intention. I think if you use things intentionally for good, it's good. If you use it intentionally for bad, it's bad. Kathy has certainly used the power, the opportunity, the access that she wields for the good of men and women and children of the state of New York, but I would dare say further. At the launching, the inauguration, we can call it what we would like, of the New York State Equal Rights Heritage Center, she came and spoke as the keynoter for the dedication. I will never forget that there wasn't a Black person speaking on the program for the launching of the New York State Equal Rights Heritage Center. There were some Black people there. There was a few. But there was no one literally speaking at the dais. Somehow, Kathy's speech actually encompassed all of that, in which, ironically, one of the people she spoke about was Harriet Tubman, and what Harriet Tubman's legacy has meant to her personally, and how she wanted to move that concept of not just inclusion, but the ability for people to thrive, not just outside of their color, but because of their color, and that they could have opportunity to rise like anybody else. I thought that it was a very powerful statement, and whether she had intentionally looked to speak to the fact of what was missing in the room, I think that it was really powerful that it came out of her mouth, and that was before it was, pardon the pun, politically correct to say so. I believe for that reason and for so many more that there's not enough time to explain. Kathy is and has lived the legacy of Harriet Tubman. And I think that everybody in this state and I think around this country benefit from personalities like hers, which is why I would say, on behalf of this incredible nominating committee, Kathy Hochul is a 2020 National Harriet Tubman Freedom Award winner.
Hi, I'm New York State Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul. I would like to thank the Harriet Tubman Freedom Music Festival for organizing this incredible event. I love that you've embraced the motto Harriet Tubman lived by, keep a going, with a virtual event this year. I want to congratulate all the other award winners, including the individuals who were involved in the incredible 2019 film Harriet. You elevated her legacy and her voice in such a beautiful and powerful way. It was important to tell her story. I will tell you why I was so deeply touched to receive the Harriet Tubman Freedom Award this year. Her story of resiliency and strength had a lifelong influence on me beginning at a young age. When I was 8 years old growing up in upstate New York, we didn't have much money to buy books, so I went to the library and discovered a book about Harriet Tubman. Reading it was an inspiring and transformative experience. I read that story countless times and have viewed Harriet Tubman as a hero in my life. She spent the last 50 years of her life in upstate New York in Auburn, where she dedicated her life to helping African American Civil War veterans who needed a home. I visited her tiny home, touched her bed, and the tea kettle she once used. It was an emotional experience, and I rededicated myself to fighting for the marginalized and the underserved in her name. To honor her name and legacy, we are each called to continue the fight for equality and freedom for all. The COVID-19 pandemic has shined a spotlight on the inequities in our society with women and minorities disproportionately impacted. We cannot afford to let this national moment pass without embracing the opportunity to right some of the wrongs that have long plagued women, particularly women of color. Now is the time to finally move this country to the moral ground that it forfeited when its foundation was built by humans in bondage, the very system of slavery that Harriet rebelled against. The Black Lives Matter movement and the murder of George Floyd at the hands of police has shocked the national conscience and are powerful reminders that inequality, injustice, racism, and violence are still very much alive today in America. But at last, people of all backgrounds are coming together to use their voices and their feet to demand change. And if Harriet were alive today, I have no doubt that she would be leading the charge. But she did prove during her 93 years on earth that Black lives do matter. If only people had listened then. What a different country we would live in today. We must continue the conversation and be the change we want to see. Harriet, a tiny, strong-willed woman who helped change America, would expect no less from us. Thank you for this honor.
Kathy Hochul, congratulations on your 2020 National Harriet Tubman Freedom Award. I remember seeing you speak when you first came to Auburn to announce the New York State Equal Rights Heritage Center. And you spoke about Harriet Tubman, and it was so natural and so moving. And then seeing you at the New York State Fair, and again, the conversation was right back to Harriet Tubman and what she did for people and what you were willing to continue to do for people. It is only fitting that you should be one of the 2020 National Harriet Tubman Freedom Award winners. Congratulations.
said, oh, the loved ones, let's go. We got a master coming for. I said, it's going across that land. No, I know it's truth, I know it's deed. You got to run, you got to get rid of this misery. And I know freedom is the key. Grab my hand, we're heading to the promised land. I said, come on, this way, Sam. Rolling across that. Come on, let's go. Time to go. I'm saying I'm on my way. Rolling across the way. Come on, man. I'm on me. I'm on the road. I gotta be. See me go. Come on, baby. This is the time to go. And so I know, so I see. So it's time, so it's real, so it's time. On the land, time to take my chance. Rolling across that.
you ask me, I want to know, are all the things you're telling me wrong? Is the true land of the strong really wrong? All men are created equal, that's right, until I step into a brighter light. and my skin shines, and they tell me into the line. And so I weep. Oh yes, I weep. Yes, I weep. Yes, I weep, weep, weep. If you ask me, I want to know. All the things you're telling me wrong. Is the true land of the strong really wrong? All men are created equal, that's right. Until I step into a brighter light, and my skin shines, and they tell me into the line. And so I weep. Yes, I weep. I do weep, weep, weep. Oh, yes, I weep. Oh, yes, I weep. Yes, I weep, 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 weep. Women's suffrage now. Women suffering now, and they say equal pay, just not right now. Mr. President, leader of the world, but you don't gotta lead by morals. It's no as long as you get what you want in that wrong. So the country should weep. The country should weep. The country should weep, 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 weep. The country should weep. Yes, the country should weep. We should weep, weep, weep. How are you gonna say it's going wrong? Children can't right our wrongs. Ask them now, and face our fate. We're gonna make a big mistake. If we don't move, if we don't act, if we don't stand, we break the promise of a strong land of one. Because we don't love the son of a man is different from me. The girl who's skipping down the street. And how I'm gonna know the difference if my hands are in front of me. I say to the left and right, America's not supposed to fight. We already learned that lesson right. I weep. Yes, I weep. Yes, I weep. No liberty, not for she and me. So I weep. Yeah, yeah. I weep. Helen, Hudson, City of Syracuse Common Council President. And I can assure you so much more. When you talk about Helen, you have to talk about the literal walking and breathing example that you can be not only what you want to be, you can only be that of what you're prepared to be. Helen started seeing in her community things that were not right. And at certain points, there would be protests and they would talk about it. But at one point, I think she recognized that talking about it wasn't getting it done, however eloquent. So she went around about the business of making it happen. She started putting herself on boards and putting herself at the heads of committee. And the next thing you know,
She's running for office, and she becomes a policymaker. But she did something that I think is unbelievably powerful, and that is she did not forget to stay connected to the community and to the people of which she comes. She keeps her words, her deeds quite colored. She colors them with action. She makes certain that the black and white landscape in which we live is really robust of opportunity. She colors that black and white landscape with opportunity for everyone. She speaks clearly. She's not aggressive, but her outcomes are. To take people in conflict and help them find a resolution through action so that everybody is feeling as though they're coming away with something that benefits them, that is the sign of the perfect deal. And that's the kind of perfect relationship that we have in Helen. Not because she would ever admit that she's perfect. I bet that she would actually argue far from it. But her intention is certainly perfect. And in an imperfect world, I wish that everybody was leaning toward that kind of outcome. It is because of that that Helen is a 2020 National Harriet Tubman Freedom Award winner.
Good evening. I would like to thank the Harriet Tubman Committee, and I would like to thank Sean McLeod for giving me this very, very huge honor. I'm just speechless because I know everything that Harriet has done, and to be compared to the same level as Miss Harriet, it is truly an honor for me, because I think about all of the Harriets in our country, and we all lead in a different way. Harriet led with a gun, which was what she had to do at the time, and I lead with my voice. I started as an activist, which is in my heart to be an activist, but I've learned early on that in order to really make change, you have to be at the table and be a part of the process. But I'm still a community activist, first and foremost, but I'm also an elected official. I am the president of Syracuse Common Council. And for me, that role is to open doors. That role is to open doors with legislation. That role is to open doors with educating the community and the population that I serve to know what it is that government does. Because for so long, we have not had access to government. 2020 is a huge opportunity because we actually have 5 people of color serving on the Syracuse City Council to ensure that we continue to write policy, that we continue to write legislation, to actually, I want to say, balance the playing field, because our children are depending on us to move them forward. And I think that goes into the spirit of Mother Harriet. Her main goal was to move her people forward. And for me, that's the most important part of all of this work.
One and only Lord, one and only Savior, yeah, one and only King, one and only God, one and only Lord, you're the one and only Savior. Yeah, one and only King. You're the one and only God. One and only Lord. Yeah, that's who you are. One and only Savior. That's what you are. One and only King. Yeah, you're the one and only God. One and only God. You are the Lord of Lords, Savior of my soul. There's no nobody greater. Yeah, one and only God. I will declare that you're the. I will declare that you're the Savior. You're the King of Kings. One and only God. One more time, say, one and only Lord. You're the one and only Savior. Hey, one and only King. Hey, one and only God. Nothing compares to you. You're everything I need. Oh, nothing compares to you. You're one and only God. Say nothing compares. Nothing compares to you. Hey, you're everything I need. Oh Lord, nothing compares. Nothing compares to you. I found you to be the one and only God. Yeah, nothing compares. Nothing compares to you. Searched all over and I found nobody. You're everything I need. You're everything I need. Everything I need. Nothing compares to you. Yeah, one and only God. One and only God. Come on, say nothing compares. Nothing compares to you. Hallelujah, you're everything I need. Everything I need. Yeah, nothing compares. Nothing compares to you. Yeah, one and only God. Oh, nothing compares. Nothing compares to you. You're everything I need. Yeah, nothing compares. Yeah, one and only God. Yeah, you're the one and only King. Say one and only. One and only God. You're the one and only King. You're the one and only, yeah. One and only. One and only. Oh, you're the one and only. Oh, yes, you are. One and only. Yeah, one and only. You're the one and only Savior, yeah. You're the one and only healer, yeah. You're the one and only provider, yeah. You're the one and only God, say. One and only God. There's not a friend like. One and only God. Like the lowly Jesus. One and only God. You're not one. One and only God. You're not one. You are, you are. None else can heal. One and only God. All our souls' diseases. One and only God. Say no, not one. One and only God. You're not one. One and only God. Oh, one and only Savior, yeah. One and only God. One and only healer, yeah. One and only God. One and only provider. one and only God, yeah, one and only King, one and only God.
You know, almost 100 years ago, a riot erupted in Springfield, Illinois, as vicious mobs attacked black residents there. It was out of that tragedy in part that the NAACP was formed.
Walters was occupied with other matters, and he was annoyed by the trouble at the school. He went there to bolster the official interpretation of events, and he did so by saying, quote, "I can end your lives with the stroke of a pen."
When he held that kid up to the jury, he held it up to those kids. He looked down, aggravated battery, attempted murder. That's a weapon.
We need help, sir. We really do. We need help. They're not doing nothing. They're not telling us nothing. They're not doing nothing.
There's nothing offered to them, no water, no ice, no sea rashes, nothing for the last 4 days. It was unbelievable. Dead people around the walls of the convention center, laying in the middle of the street where they died, right there in their lawn chair. They were just covered up in their wheelchair, laying there for dead. 2 babies dehydrated and died. And these are law-abiding citizens who have been left behind. They did everything they were told.
Daniela Taplin Lundberg. Let's just talk about for a second what it would mean to decide as a man you were going to fight really hard to tell the story of women, or as a pilot you were going to try to tell the story of a race car driver, or as a baker you would attempt to tell the story of a doctor. But imagine a white woman being moved to tell the story of a black woman, and what that would mean, how that would show up if in fact she were actually successful. That somehow, because you're not black, you might feel as though you don't have the right to actually speak as though you have contributed deeply to something showing up. Daniela's commitment to Harriet Tubman's story finally being told, meaning that the last time that this story really had traction was when Cicely Tyson, back in the early 70s, told the story of Harriet Tubman. And you have to stop and think, early 70s, the next time that this story was told on the big screen, think about how many years that was. And that one of the folks that actually decided to move heaven and earth to make certain that that story would be told was this woman whom happens to be white. And that in her plight, that in her struggle, her objective was to say that this story was worth being told. And I think that there was a double shot against the project. One was that it was a woman, meaning Harriet is a woman, and two, that it was a black woman. And somehow that no one had ever thought that this story, outside of Cicely Tyson and her team, believing that this story was worthy of being told. And I'm certain that there were. But there's a thought of it, and then there's doing it. You'd have to actually look at Daniela's entire life track work to recognize why she picked this project. She's done so much good work in this world. And this actually is this wonderful, shining proof positive of that work. Her commitment to say that black people, that this black person, that this black heroine story not only was deserved to be told, but needed to be told and to not take a no for an answer. That is something that we all should share in. To recognize you don't have to be black to recognize black pain. You do not have to be a woman to recognize women being overlooked. You do not have to be Native American or what I call the originals of this country to recognize that they do not have a voice on their own land. And when everyone says, go back to where you come from, they are where they come from. Just to kind of be clear. Freedom Music Festival, Freedom Awards, gotta come with the truth. Okay, gotta come with the truth. So I just think that I want us to be able to say as a nation, and certainly to say as folks that find this work necessary, to be able to recognize that yes, one of the primary contributors to the fact that Harriet Tubman's life story has been told on a global stage was done by a white woman. A white woman who is a beautiful person with a beautiful story and a beautiful need to help other people have an opportunity. Daniela Taplin Lundberg, 2020 National Harriet Tubman Award winner.
Hi. During these unprecedented times, it is deeply important that we not forget where we come from, the people who helped shape our country, and why we can even stand to fight in the first place. I'm grateful for the 2020 Harriet Tubman Music Festival for continuing to honor one of those people, even with the obstacles of our current world. I'm so proud to be a part of the celebration of Harriet Tubman. Thank you to Devin and Sean McLeod for honoring me with the 2020 Harriet Tubman Freedom Award. The movie Harriet is a highlight in my career. I'm humbled to have been a part of it and thrilled it resonated with so many people across the country. Those are the kinds of movies we need now more than ever. The ones that show us there are no boundaries to what we're capable of doing, that the triumph of the human spirit is stronger than any obstacle put in front of us. Thank you all and stay safe.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
let me say to Sean McLeod first, that he is indeed Harriet's son. The son she never had, she had with Sean. Because like Harriet, Sean has vision. And what we're doing now is we are claiming the vision to minister through music of every genre, the freedom message of Harriet Tubman. And I can't thank Sean enough. He and I, we go at it. You know he's a real pistol. He's always moving at 120 miles per hour. Too fast for my old blood. He has an incredible family. I love them because they help me stay straight with Sean. Kirsten is unbelievable. What he is doing in this community needs to be shared with everyone in Auburn, everyone in Central New York, everyone in New York, and everyone throughout these United States and indeed the world. We are standing here knowing that in 2 years we will be celebrating the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage. So all that we're doing this weekend, I spent most of the weekend with Congress people. We're building something, right, Sean? We are building something. When Sean talked about what this property was as a child growing up, no one knew we had the vision to make it a national historical park. Okay. And there are not many parks that are hallowed like this ground. Mrs. Johnson, I cannot thank you enough for your years of leadership and stewardship within your family and always showing up, just like him. Always show up. And we appreciate that. And Sean, even though we tussled a little bit getting here, we know Sean is an incredible musician, but he is more than that. He is a minister. He is ministering to all of us. And I believe our faith, as he said, is what brings us here this evening. And I know if we just can continue to work together, because that's what Harriet would want. If we can just continue to work together, we can take this community and this region to a place through the arts that they could have never imagined before. And that we are creating the blueprint for generations yet unborn to carry forth with her legacy. Now, I'm asked to do an appeal to you. I'm not going to do it now because I want Sean to do what he do, okay? And I'm going to take my seat again. But we will ask you to seed this in some way because everyone knows it takes money to make all this happen. It doesn't happen for free, and we don't want to tax you too much. But whatever you put in the plate when I come back, I'll be grateful. I'll be grateful. It's hard for me not to cry on this occasion because there were so many people who said we would never get there. We would never get to this moment.
That's true.
Okay, and we had so much opposition getting to this moment, but to God be the glory.
God be the glory.
Okay, and he sent Sean to be his son on this occasion to carry forth through the ministry of the arts. And arts appreciation is so needed everywhere. Yeah. It is so needed. It brings people together. It bridges the divide. And this is what Harriet would want you to do. And Sean, I'm just so proud of you today. I really am. Anita, I love you too, darling. Okay, and I'm going to get off now, but I'm just really overcome that you all would be here for this Freedom Music Festival because people who are not here, we have to continue to pray for them. That's the first thing I do. Pray for them. And then Sean and I are going to get really, really busy for how we compel them because the spirit of Harriet is in this place. Thank you.
wake up in the morning, freedom. Oh yeah, I wake up in the morning, freedom. Oh me, I wake up in the morning, shout freedom. Oh yeah, can't you hear me calling your name? Yeah. I wake up in the morning, freedom. Oh yeah, I wake up in the morning, shout freedom. Oh me, I wake up in the morning, shout freedom. Oh yeah, people coming over this time. I can assure you don't mean to say to me.
Hello, everybody. I'm Onondaga County Executive Ryan McMahon. And with COVID-19 and this pandemic right now, unfortunately, we can't be together. But I am happy to still be here today, and I want to recognize everybody who's worked so hard to make the Harriet Tubman Festival and the Harriet Tubman National Freedom Award still possible. I want to specifically thank and congratulate my friend B. Gonzalez as one of your Freedom nominees. B and I have a long history together, and she's been a tremendous advocate for our community in Central New York and the City of Syracuse. And Harriet Tubman was such a great leader. Her message and her example she set for us is here today, and it's a call to action, a call to act to make sure we have economic opportunity for everybody in every neighborhood in our county of Onondaga and the City of Syracuse. And that's my pledge, to work with all of you to make sure that we make Harriet Tubman proud right here in Onondaga County. Enjoy the festival.
B. Gonzalez. B. Gonzalez is the former Vice President of Community Engagement and Special Assistant to the Chancellor at Syracuse University. But I would say that for all the people, and I do mean all the people, that she has touched, she would be more like, she would be one of the reasons that they would say that they got to their point of success, that they were able to move on to their belief structure, that they were capable and worthy of greatness. B is a person whom has always embraced her Latin heritage while honoring everyone else's heritage at the same time. But more than that, she was a living example that no status, that no cultural affiliation, that no self-inflicted degradation could stop you from getting to your destination of hopefulness and achievement if you were willing to do some introspective work and then to do that academic work that she and others would help you to do even when you did not know how to do it initially yourself. I think that as I've had the privilege of doing the different research about her so that I could be able to say the things that I'm saying about her now, I think there's nothing that is more powerful of the fact that her ability to impact people was only second to her desire to do so. And for her to decide, which I would have to say some years ago, that her life's work would be about impacting other people's lives. When minorities, and I say that word loosely, when minorities in much of New York, and certainly in the parts of New York that she was directly interacting with, were not being able to get access to economic opportunity, let alone educational opportunity, she created structures to not only make it so that they could do that, but also to make it exciting and beneficial to others that had the access to come and work with these people. These people like me. The reality happens to be is that she sees the possibility of what America can be at its greatest capacity. And she sees it from people who are seen to have no capacity. And then she helps them to achieve that. She does it with a smile on her face. She does it without having anyone feel as though they're less than. And she does it really, really well. I think it is for that reason and so many more that I am not going to go into right now because you don't want me to. You ain't got that time. My bad. That is why B. Gonzalez is a 2020 National Harriet Tubman Freedom Award winner.
Good evening. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here with you at this year's Harriet Tubman Freedom Awards. Even though it's virtual, it's still an amazing evening. Harriet Tubman is credited with the quote, "Every dream begins with a dreamer." That quote has been interpreted in many ways. If you can imagine it, you can make it happen. You are the author of your own story. are two examples. For me, it was the poem The Road Less Traveled by Robert Frost, which I learned in 3rd grade. I continuously take the road less traveled, and it has made all the difference. We each have the power within us to make a difference, to improve our situation and that of others. In this moment in time, we are a determined country. We are grasping why Black Lives Matter and that all of us have a responsibility to social justice, to creating a society where we all have the freedom to prosper. The day will come when this road is very well traveled. I want to thank the National Harriet Tubman Freedom Awards Committee for this humbling recognition and my fellow nominees for being dreamers. Juntos en la lucha.
Come on, Harriet, hurry up, oh girl. Come on, Harriet, hurry up, old girl. Come on, Harriet, hurry up, old girl.
Come on, Harriet. Thank you very much, University of North Texas. 1 o'clock, jazz band. Thank you all.
Baraka, Sele. It is almost like a chant for the soul to say this woman's name. Greatness in people normally is most often not recognized by the person who we recognize as great. Baraka some time ago represented and decided somehow that those who did not have voice, she would speak for. That meant people that looked like her, but it also meant people that needed her. She's been such an incredible page turner of opportunity for those that were looking for someone that would simply listen, but actually did not recognize that she actually would do something after listening. I was at a conference one time and I heard Baraka stand up and say to the entire room, if you're black and your plight is about blackness, you need to be comfortable to say that. And you need to stop apologizing. She says that about everyone, regardless of their culture. But what she does is she shows you how action can actually change a desert into an oasis. She does that with every breath, with every fiber of her being. And I can say that when I watched her walk on to the hallowed grounds of the Harriet Tubman home, I could see what some might have seen as an overwhelming feeling of awe, I saw as actually someone coming home to a place where the feeling made sense. Baraka Sele is an incredible example of what we all should shoot for. And like all folks that have been awarded a National Harriet Tubman Freedom Award, her freedom, her award, is helping folks like us. And I like to say, I'm not just the owner, I'm a client. Baraka, we are so moved by the work you do on a daily basis. And my dream is that someday I could just put a little bit of my toe in the footprint that you have left. Baraka Sele, 2020 National Harriet Tubman Freedom Award winner.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. These are the words of my dear friend, Baraka Sele. Sean McLeod, I am absolutely stunned and almost speechless. I considered it such a high honor just to visit the home of Harriet Tubman with you during the IABD co-high visit that Denise Saunders Thompson and I made to Auburn, New York. And then, when I recently witnessed the movie Harriet twice, I was so moved by Harriet Tubman's boundless courage, her endless wisdom, not to mention her love of freedom and her people. I was humbled that you had made possible the opportunity to sit at the table where Harriet Tubman sat and to walk the earth that she walked. Auburn, New York was her final resting place. Who knew? I have been very blessed to receive many acknowledgments and awards throughout my career and my life. I'm not going to lie. I can say without arrogance or pride that I worked hard for those accolades. But I now say, without false humility, this is the first time I feel I am being awarded for something I have not earned, let alone deserve. I don't know what else to say, except to say simply and gratefully, yes, I accept your invitation to receive one of the 2020 Harriet Tubman Freedom Awards. I am so appreciative of you, the nomination committee, the Harriet Tubman Freedom Festival, for making this honor possible. And I am on my face to God, the angels, the ancestors, the Orishas, with gratitude. Baraka, Sele. Thank you.
Baraka, Sele, congratulations on being a 2020 National Harriet Tubman Freedom Award winner. I remember when we first met at the International Association of Blacks in Dance Conference, and your presence and your unbelievable ability to not only speak, but the action that you were willing to take for those of us in the space, for the organizations, and for the people was simply magical, for lack of a better. It was just perfect. And then when you came to Auburn to sit down and speak with us about the organization, about the Kaleidoscope Dance Theatre, and you turned to me and you said, Kirsten, what is the company that you work for? What is the Kaleidoscope Dance Theatre? And I said, it's a Black dance company. It is a Black performing arts company. And you said, thank you. You are one of the first people that has said that. And the fact that you were so willing right off the bat to allow our organization to call it what it was and to not hide behind something. And the fact that you did that for so many people. Thank you. Thank you so much. And congratulations on your 2020 National Harriet Tubman Freedom Award.
The challenge has been met.
Hello, this is Sharon Owens, Deputy Mayor of the City of Syracuse. I'm so honored to be able to send you this message about Harriet Tubman. As a former Freedom Award recipient, I remember how thrilled I was to receive that award, just to be named in the company of individuals who stand up for her legacy. And in this day and time, that legacy and her fight for equality and equity and the right for people to live under the principles that this country was founded, but has unfortunately so many times fallen short of. My sister in the struggle, Helen Hudson, is one of those recipients this year, and I can't even say enough about everything that she has done for this community over decades of steadfast work. I thank her, I thank the other recipients for all that they've done and all that we continue to do. In my role as Deputy Mayor, I will continue to fight the fight. I will continue to do the work. I'm learning more and more that that work takes so many different forms, whether it's being on the street, as so many young people are now protesting, or being in an office, in a government office, actually looking at, with a magnifying glass, policies and procedures and government laws that, well-intentioned or not, may contribute to the barriers that people face in our community. I join you in honoring Harriet Tubman, and I join you in continuing the work of her legacy. Thank you.
I give you Jalen.
Today I will be presenting a spiritual, unaccompanied, arranged by Paul Johnson, O Glory.
Have a home in glory. Jesus, my all, to heaven is gone, to have a home in glory. He whom I fix my hopes upon, to have a home in glory. Track I see, and I'll pursue to have a home. The narrow way till him I view to have a home. Oh, glory.
That was a gift.
When all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops tumble all around, heaven opens its magic name. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found. Leading from your window pane to a place behind the sun, just beyond the rain.
Look at me and girl, I'll show you why. Look at me, I'll show you exactly why. Look at me and girl, I'll show you why. Look at me and girl, I'll show you why. Look at me, I'll show you exactly why. Look at me and girl, I'll show you why. Look at me and girl, I'll show you why. Follow me, I'll show you exactly why. Look at me and girl, I'll show you. What's good for no one, yeah. Whoa, yeah. Whoa. Can't you see the look on their faces when they're all alone? They've got nowhere to go. I said the children running hard for safe spaces because they're all alone, ain't got nowhere to go. I said, what's good for no one? Yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Can't you see the look on their faces when all alone they got nowhere to go? I said that children are looking for safe places. Oh, but they're all alone and they got nowhere to go. Yeah, I don't know where they go now. Can you find? Come on and stay the children. I don't know where that. You don't know where that. We gotta find a way. I said, yeah. And I never said places. I'm a horrible. Where they want to go. What is good for no one? Yeah. Cassie Lemmons.
Cassie Lemmons, right now known as the director and one of these unbelievable emotional visionaries of how the movie, the feature film Harriet, came to be. But she is so much more than this movie. But this movie is so important to her life's work. I would argue that as a woman filmmaker, let alone a Black woman filmmaker, her life's work has been set in the path of what Harriet Tubman had laid out. And it's almost poetic that this project, that this life work would have come her way. When I was at the premiere of Harriet, I felt like part of my life had been completed. I had the privilege of growing up in the church that Harriet Tubman went to, of being able to hear the stories of Harriet Tubman, and to grow up literally having cookouts so often, almost as a family kind of land, at the Harriet Tubman home. Cassie captured in her interpretation of this great story the simple sides of Harriet Tubman that makes us all think that we have the capacity to do that great work. That is actually the magic of the film, but it's actually the magic of she as a person. And I think that if we all could take a moment to really think about what this world would be like without the example of Harriet Tubman, what it would be like where's the proof of what one should go through in order to achieve freedom? And to do so, not just for herself, but for everyone she loved and then everyone she thought was in need of love. That's the kind of great work that I find in the work, the movie Harriet. And to be able to take that vision and to rein it into something that came out so tangible, and to have that be one of those real beautiful milestone landing pads in a person's life. I think that Cassie Lemmons has given us as a nation, has given us as a globe, a touchstone where we can touch our humanity and know that it is our job to live up to that model, both that of Harriet Tubman and that she has laid out. She has an incredible family, an incredible husband, incredible friends. And how do you have that kind of magnetism? You have to do the work. And she has done the work. So for 2020 National Harriet Tubman Freedom Award winner, I give you Cassie Lemmons.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be a Harriet Tubman Freedom Award honoree. I wish I were there with you, but I'm really glad that the show is going on. Harriet's motto is keep on going. I always say my favorite quote of Harriet's is, I prayed to God to make me strong enough to fight, and that's what I've prayed for ever since. Harriet Tubman was a fighter. She was a freedom fighter. I know if she were here right now, she'd be leading the march and leading the call for justice, because Harriet knew without justice, there is no freedom. So I'm very proud to be a recipient of this award. Thank you so much. I wish I were there with you, and enjoy the festival.
Cassie Lemmons, director of the seminal, in my opinion, Harriet film. We are so glad to have had her name be brought to us from the Harriet Tubman Freedom Award nominating committee. It is so deserved, and we are so honored to call her a 2020 Harriet Tubman Freedom Award winner.
This is one by the one and only Sean McLeod. This is I Know That We Will Overcome. I know it. Ha, ha. words of Harriet, we out.
City of the world, city of the world.
Special thank you to the 2020 online Harriet Tubman Freedom Music Festival and Harriet Tubman Freedom Awards partners.
The New York Institute of Dance and Education.
The Kaleidoscope Dance Theatre.
The City of Syracuse.
Onondaga County.
And the New York State Fair.
Thank you, thank you.
We'd like to also give a special thanks to our sponsors of the 2020 online Harriet Tubman Freedom Music Festival, National Harriet Tubman Freedom Awards, and the New York Dance Festival.
The New York State Women's Suffrage Commission.
The New York State Council on the Arts.
The International Association of Blacks in Dance.
Kristen B. Model Coaching.
And the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation.
Additional sponsors of the Harriet Tubman Freedom Music Festival and National Harriet Tubman Freedom Awards are
MedEnt,
the New York State Equal Rights Heritage Center,
WHMB PC,
the Cayuga County Chamber of Commerce,
and CEO Center State in partnership with Key Bank.
Sound on Sound Productions,
Tompkins Trust Company,
the National Parks Arts Foundation,
the City of Auburn, New York Human Rights Commission,
Vagabond Clothing,
Auburn Downtown Bid,
A&M Graphics,
Office of Governor Cuomo here in New York State,
and EHR Integration Services.
Thank you all so much for your support of this Black-run music festival and dance festival here in New York State.